Cardamom Chai Podcast with Roma and Just Noor. Hi everyone, I'm Roma.
And I'm Just Noor. This week we're going to be talking about things that we wish that we knew in our 20s. But before we dive into our topic, Roma, how's everything going this week?
Everything's going a bit slow this week for me. I'm not sure why. It's probably just something to do with my brain and my month and the cycles we have in the month and everything, and just I don't know, it's just I'm a bit low on energy and it's just a bit slow for me mentally mostly. So yeah, it's kind of a dull week. But did you know that the 4 phases of the monthly cycle and everything? I figured out about them recently. I don't know if you know about them.
Yeah, like the luteal phase,
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, I know.
It's the
Menstrual cycle.
yeah, right. So yeah, the period time, and then the follicular, then ovulation and luteal, and
Yeah, you might be in the luteal phase where everything's depressing.
yeah, sort of. Yeah, but I don't know. It was just slow for me this week, and not super exciting. Though I was preparing for this episode, so it really got me thinking about my fun/boring times, I guess, from back in the 20s. Mainly boring, not a lot of fun. That's what I realized when I was preparing for this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it's been with me. How about you? How's everything going with you?
Things are pretty hectic with me. My work has gotten really, really busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't have time for much else besides work these days.
Yeah.
Except so whenever I'm really busy, I usually don't read anything, or I don't watch a TV show that really is going to require a lot of my brain power.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to just at that time watch something that is fun and easy to watch. Like, you're watching an episode of something, and if you tune out for 5 minutes or have a conversation for 5 minutes and you come back to the TV show, it's not going to make a huge difference. Gilmore Girls would be that one because I've watched it so many times.
Right.
And I would listen to maybe the Harry Potter audiobook because I've read the book so many times.
Yeah.
So I can just focus on that. Or those reality TV shows like Love is Blind,
Oh yeah.
Love Island,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I've been recently watching Gossip Girl.
Oh, I've never watched that show.
Me either. So I was like, I want to know what the hype was about for Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
And the drama that's going on with the movie, It Ends With Us. Do you know
Right.
that?
Yeah. I've heard of those things.
Yeah, Blake Lively is caught up in that.
Mm.
And that got me thinking. I was like, yeah, she was really big in Gossip Girl. And then I was like, I've never seen Gossip Girl, and people love that TV show. Like, they're obsessed with it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Let me just give this a try.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been watching it, and it's pretty fun to watch. I'm not gonna say it's like very educational or it has a lot
It's
of substance,
entertainment.
but
It's entertainment.
it's entertainment.
Mm.
Yeah, and Penn Badgley in it, and I love Penn Badgley in You, like the series You.
Yeah.
So I was like, I like one of the actors from their previous works, and Blake Lively is Blake Lively, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this got me thinking.
Yeah.
Now my wheels are turning. Have you seen the new TV show called Nobody Wants This?
Hold on. Let me think. I've heard that name. I might have even watched it. Hold on.
It's about two sisters who are doing a podcast together, and she meets this guy who...
Oh, yeah, I've watched this. Okay, I'm Googling this as we are talking to see who the actors are in it and everything. Okay, you know what happens when I'm on Netflix? I just I don't know if I actually read the title or anything. I just look at the people and I look at the trailer, I hear the music, and I go like, okay, I want to watch this, but I have no idea what it's called. So every time someone would try to talk to me, I'd be like, okay, I don't know if I watched it. I might have watched it like 5 times, but but yeah, I've watched this. It's not a show though; it's a movie. Yeah.
No, it's a TV show.
Oh, okay.
It's like 8 episodes.
Okay, maybe I just watched it all in one sitting, so it might have felt like a movie. But okay, I didn't even remember that. But yes, it does say one season, so I guess it says season on it, so it's a show. But I've watched it. I really loved it. I loved it.
Me too. I loved it too. And what's surprising is, so Dave Rogalski in Gilmore
Right.
Girls is the main actor
Yeah.
in this one. And I really liked him in Gilmore Girls for Lane.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see. But he's married to Blair Waldorf in Gossip Girl.
Oh, well, that's how we are bringing this
Yeah.
up. Okay.
Exactly. He's married to her, and I've heard like Blair. I can't remember her real name, the actress's name, but she is actually really nice person.
Okay.
We can't say the same for Blake Lively. It's a good TV show to watch for me right now, just
Yeah.
because all of these things are going on
Right.
in the social media sphere. So I've been loving watching that. It's been fun.
Okay, maybe I should give it a go. I haven't watched it, but it always pops up on Netflix every time I open it. Maybe I should try to watch it.
Yeah, just something to have on the background, and maybe you'll pay attention to a little bit of it, maybe not.
Yeah.
But it's been entertaining. Do not watch it with other people around. There's a lot of kissing
Okay.
and other stuff going on in there.
It's usually just me and my husband in the house, so I'll
Okay.
try to I'll grab him actually to watch it with me.
Sounds good.
All right, guys, let's dive into today's topic. So today we're going to talk about, as Justin mentioned, the things that we wished we knew in our 20s. So we'll explore the lessons learned, any myths that we had heard which are not true, any advice that we wish we had heard earlier, such as like from the importance of financial literacy to the value of self-love, mental health, etc. We'll try to cover as much as we can. So yeah, grab your favorite cup of chai and let's get started. Justin, do you want to go first? We both have a list already. Mine is slightly bigger than just Noor, but a lot of things we both came up with, we both can relate with. So yeah, like we hope that you can as well. Actually, before just Noor you start, I just give a bit of a background on us in terms of our education and everything. Yeah, so like we were in university from 2010 to around 2014-15. That was our bachelor's. So it's been a while. It's been around 15 or so years since we started and about 10 years since we finished. So it's been a while. Back in the day, I don't necessarily remember the self-love and mental health maybe was there, yeah, but the self-love area of things, which is huge these days, I don't think that was really a thing back then. Maybe it was in terms of like other things. Maybe it was like portrayed as something different, but not necessarily as self-love. But anyways, I'll ask just Noor to go first with one of her things.
To get started, I'm going to talk about a very general one that I think most of us really think about. No one is thinking about you. I think when we're growing up and in our teenage years or even in our 20s, we think about, oh, what are other people thinking about me? I shouldn't do this because of what would other people think about, what I'm doing and everything. Most of the time, people aren't really thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. We're very self-focused people out there. Unless you're a celebrity, then people are talking about you and thinking about you. But we're not celebrities, so we don't have to worry. I think that will ease a lot of pressure off that I had in my 20s. Be like, to be a certain way, to act a certain way. I think if I just stopped worrying about what other people are thinking about, I would have had a lot more fun and a lot less tension going on in my life.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I completely agree. Actually, this was one of the big things for me. I think I actually had someone sit me down and tell me that, do you actually think that people have time to look at you and like think about you or judge you or anything? Look around right now. Is anyone looking at you? I actually had someone sit me down and say that to me. Like it was a huge deal for me at that time. I was so conscious all the time in public, and I genuinely thought that I was just being watched all the time, and like that I'm being judged or something, especially when I was in public. So yeah, I can totally relate. Like, this was something that really took up a lot of my time and my energy back in the day, and confidence, not to mention.
Yeah. No, this one is, I think, a very universal problem.
True.
I think we all have to learn the fact that it is okay to just stop worrying about this stuff and just focus on yourself, because how much of the time in the day are you spending thinking about other people?
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
You're only worried about yourself. So just put yourself in other people's shoes and be like, well, if I'm not thinking about other people, are they really thinking about me?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not.
Yeah. No, I think also in this age of social media like TikTok and all that, when a lot of teenagers already put themselves out a lot so confidently, I feel like it may not be such a huge of a thing on people's minds anymore, but maybe those who are still quiet and not so much on social media, and a bit of an introvert like us, or who are not blessed with or born with confidence and everything, and they're putting effort into building it up and all. I think this would be a good exercise to just observe, like the way I was told is, just observe one day. It may not be so bad. It may not be that everyone might be looking at you, or that they might be judging you or everything, because everyone, like, people do have a lot going on in their heads, so it's not even practical or realistic to have this happening. So this is definitely a big one, just
Yeah, for sure.
okay. I'll mention one of my that I wish I had done more, which was spend more time on or for myself, as in, like, paid more attention to the way I looked. Like, in my teenage years, I had a lot of acne on my face and everything, but I didn't really do much about it, and then just let it suffer me, and, like, lower my self-confidence and everything. I used to wear clothes like homeless people back when I was in teen. Just no,
I would not call it homeless people.
Okay, that when I say that, I genuinely remember, like, one piece of outfit that I used to wear, which was like gray, and like sweatpants were like so big on me, and it wasn't stylish, guys. Okay, as much as it may, like, my explanation might make it sound like, oh, that's one of a kind, that's stylish. No, it wasn't. I was just, yeah, I didn't really paid attention to the way I look. Now, I know that, like, that shouldn't really matter or anything, but I'm just saying that if that helps you build your confidence, especially when you're in university and all that, I think then it's important. Or the colors I wore, like, I basically, like, try to build a personal style, right? Like, I think that's where I'm heading here, is that I didn't really put any time on myself, because one, I was busy worrying about what people are thinking. And second, the whole university life was just so overwhelming for me. No confidence. Like, I was very low on confidence, and just I didn't have a lot of my opinions gathered around, or like I wasted a lot of time on other people, basically, and everything. So I mean, a lot of my things are, like, related as well, my list and everything, so I'll touch on some of them later. But I wish I had spent more time. I think it's important for you to spend some time on yourself. Obviously, I'm not suggesting at all Botox or anything. That's not I'm not saying, like, look pretty. That's not my goal here, okay, guys? I'm just saying, look your best. Like, whatever you have, just look your best. Look clean, right? Like, that's what I mean. And I'm sure most of you guys do it. I'm not assuming that you don't. But this is just something that I wish I had done for myself. Looking back at it, I don't think it has a huge impact on my current life, but it's just like it would have helped me save a lot of my time.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to do is spend time on yourself, because you're your biggest asset. And if you're not putting time and effort in yourself, how would you expect someone else to do the same?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's some of the things I figure out, like, now, when a lot of people are, like, on, like, stage 10 or 12 of it, and I'm, like, on stage 1 of some of the things, in terms of, like, what works for you, right? Like, a lot of people are already like in the adult adultness of this one topic, and I'm still like in the teenage years of it. It's not so bad, guys, but it just makes me feel like I wish I had like started earlier so that I would be where I should be right now. But it's not so bad. Like I still catch up faster.
I agree with you there. Everyone takes their own time in everything, and you can't really compare yourself to other people. One thing that I really wish that I knew in my 20s is stop worrying about the timelines. When to get married, when to have kids, when to buy a house,
Yep.
when to start your career. Like, I was really focused on, this is my timeline, I'm going to do my university, get a job, do my CPA, get married, have kids, and buy a house in that time as well. I did all those things in the timeline that I set out for myself.
Yeah.
But really, I missed out on a lot of fun things in my life by doing that. Like, I really was just very focused and very linear in my progression. And if I had taken the time to figure out just, like, have fun, have a little bit like leeway there, be like, yeah, eventually you're gonna get married and you're gonna have kids if you want them. If you're gonna buy a house, you don't have to worry about all of this. I would have just really let my guard down and had a lot of fun. But I was constantly, like, in university and even after university, constantly worried about, I'm trying to find a guy to get married and settle down with. And then I know a lot of people struggle with that because as women, we have that biological clock that's always ticking.
Yeah.
But science has made a lot of advancements. And, you can have kids later in your life and it's not a big deal. So you don't have to be constantly worrying about that. But I really did worry about all of that. And I made sure I stuck to a plan, which made for, I think, very boring 20s. I didn't really starting to have fun in my 20s until after I was married, which is a little bit sad.
Yeah, I wonder if it's something to do with the Indian society just now versus
Probably.
the Western society.
Yeah.
Because, like, we all are, like, told. I think for me, my timeline was really made by my parents, but I didn't really follow through it. I rebelled a lot, so it wasn't fun, but you're right. Like, timeline is something that we all worry a lot about, like, in terms of, like, getting married, and because it's very, like, fixed. It's all decided that the society thinks that, okay, this age you do this age you do this, but I think no, you're right. Like, 20s should really be about figuring out yourself rather than coming up with conclusions and like results and timelines and everything. So
Yeah, and stop being so rigid about the fact that this has to happen by this age and this has to happen by. I had figured out that I was going to be married by the time that I was 25 and I was going to have a kid by the time I was 30.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was married like a month before I turned 25 and I gave birth to my son 4 months before I turned 30.
Oh.
So it's really, really close to the timelines I set out for myself.
Yeah.
And the timeline for having my son, that was actually really, really well thought out of and actually allowed me to have a lot of fun and take time to get to know myself and just figure out life.
Yeah.
But the timeline to getting married and that, I feel like I did rush into it and I could have really spent a lot of time just having fun and exploring life.
Yeah, no, I get that. I understand. It's relatable.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one I have is work towards building resilience and self-confidence for myself. Sort of related to the previous one, but I didn't really work towards building my self-confidence or anything like that on purpose because, like, I was so busy studying and trying to survive through the university courses at that time. And after I finished university, I tried diving into CPA right away, which didn't really work out for me. And I think CPA was also a way for me to, like, run away from marriage because, that was like the expectation. So I was like, no, I need to study more, so I'm not going to. But, like, I was just so busy with things like that all my 20s that I didn't put effort into building resilience, building self-confidence on purpose. So yeah, I wish I had done more of that.
Do you think, though, the resilience comes with time, and maybe this is something that develops over time and not something we can do entirely in our 20s?
That is true. Yeah, like I think maybe all your life, you're right, all your life you might be building resilience based on the experiences you are facing in life. But in 20s, like I do see that in some people, though, in 20s, that they have a lot of resilience already. It could be based on experiences, the experiences that they might have faced. So it could be because of that as well. So yeah, you're right. Like I'm not, okay, maybe not an expert at that, but a bit of it, right? Like the strength, the mental strength that you need in order to like go on and everything. That would have been nice to have. Just spending time for that more would be my thing.
Yeah, no, and I can think of an example where in my third year of university, I applied for all of these like summer position, internship and everything. And I applied for so many, and I didn't get accepted to even one, not even for an interview. And that just broke me down, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. That was like that time where I like sobbed for a long time in my bed and just be like, oh my god, like if I can't even get a job after university, what's the point of doing all of this? And talking about resilience, like I had none of that. And a lot of people face rejection when applying for positions. It's not just a thing that I experienced for myself, but I really just broke down and wanted to kind of call it quits at that time. Eventually I did, but it took me like a year to build up the confidence to being like, okay, I'm gonna try again, and I'm gonna hope that it works, and I'm gonna take people's advice. That stuff really kind of sticks with you, like those defining moments of you were trying to do something and you just fail so hard at it.
It sounds like that. But oh man, that would have been hard.
That was really hard. Things worked out in the end. A lot of lessons learned. One thing that I did wish that I did in university was this semester abroad, because a lot of people do a semester abroad, and it's a very easy way to travel, to get a lot of experience that you wouldn't otherwise get. Well, I had some limitations of doing that. I think my parents would not allow me to do that at that time. They're very, very conservative, and they would be like, how dare you spend time away from us? So that's maybe one thing that I didn't do because of my parents, but also I never bothered to ask them for permission or anything either, or apply. So I would have loved to do a semester in like Europe, somewhere, or even the United States. Like that would have been something at least. But I did none of that. I just got my degree in 4 years, done and dusted.
I didn't even know about this. I didn't know. Oh my god. See, that's the thing, right? That's my whole problem, is I wasted way too much time on like weird shit, other shit. Didn't even know you could do a semester abroad until like last year of university or something. Okay, so
wow,
it's not even a regret for me, because it's like, bro, if I knew and I chose not to do it, maybe then it would have been a regret, but didn't even know, so
yeah.
But no, it sounds really nice, right? Like when I got to learn about it, I'm like, wow, you could do that? That's so cool. Like I've never, because I hadn't heard about anything like that before. I didn't even know anyone who was doing it. Just know if you had like gotten some strength and done it, I would have known sooner.
Yeah, maybe we could have done it together and our parents would let us do it.
Yeah, then they would have been like, okay, you have someone with you? Okay. As if like, you're gonna take care of me and I'm gonna take care of you. We both were the same age and same level of dumbness, like inexperience.
Yeah, exactly.
But usually that makes a difference in Indian parents' mind. You have a friend
It
with you.
does somehow. Yeah, somehow it does make a difference. I don't know. I don't know what they think could happen.
Yeah, I know that's a whole different area. Just I think it's just because they come from India and they have very like different experiences in India than us in terms of like people and like so many incidents of like rapes and all these like other things that happen. So I think it's just wired all our parents like just think in a way. But I'm just touching the iceberg here, you guys. Okay, this is deeper than that with parents.
Yeah. And going back to our topic, things I wish I knew in my 20s. If we change the title to things I wish I did in my 20s, the answer would be stand up to my parents. Stand up to my parents and be like, no, I'm doing this and I'm not going to change my whole personality because you're not letting me. Because that happened with me is I became a lot more like, oh, I'm saying no to so many things because if I say yes, my parents are going to say no. So what's the point of me saying yes? What is the point here? Nothing.
But good, that's where your saying no part builds. That's how you learned it.
Exactly. I think that's where I got something broke in me, and I was like, no, I'm saying no to everything. because there's no control here. I'm just gonna start saying no.
Just based on that, I'm gonna say that I wish I had said no more often because that's one of my things on the list. And now that makes me think that are we doing things I wish I knew or things I wish I did? Because I think I'm following a list of things I wish I did in my 20s, and I think Justin is doing things I wish I knew, which is great. Like it works. It's a thing. That's a good observation.
Yeah. No, I think that applies because what you know comes from what you did or didn't do.
True. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna stick to this. Yeah. I wish I wish I had said no more often in my life. I don't think I knew the word no. Honestly, it comes from a lot of things. In like I would feel guilty. I would feel like it's my job to help someone or do something for someone, or it would make me feel mostly like people pleasing personality. It would make me feel like am I being fair to someone, or it would just be mostly like guilt, out of guilt that I'd be doing it. Just going like I don't want to leave them alone. Do they have someone else? Little would I know that they might be like asking me and they might have asked like 5 other people and they all are helping them or something, right? It's like, so yeah, I've wasted so much of my time because I didn't say no. I wasted so much of my energy because I didn't say no, whether it's to friends or to even when say I'd be, I don't know, like doing something in university and there'd be like a group of friends, like doing something in the evening and I wouldn't say no. I think now that I think about it, I think a lot of my no's also came from FOMO, like the fear of missing out. That was also a contribution for me for not saying no. Plus you don't want to break friendships and everything, and at that time you think that saying no would affect your friendship and they wouldn't want to be friends with you anymore, which actually happened in some cases, just but so it wasn't very much of a myth at that time. It actually did end up happening, but that just shows that those were not really true friendships anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that was one of my things.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And even like going along with that about friendship and everything, one of my things that I wish I knew is that it's okay to not have a big group of friends. And like that fear of missing out. Like I would see all these big group of friends and like people that have tons and tons of friends, and then I would have FOMO for it.
Yeah.
What am I missing out? Like, why do I not have a big group of friends? Why don't I have all of these like great connections? And that was one thing that should have told my younger self, that it's okay not to have that, because you don't know what the quality of those friendship is in that big group of friends, versus you do know what the quality of your friendship is in your small circle that you have.
Right.
Because I have a lot of individual friendships.
Yeah.
In university, I did have a little bit of a group, but it was a very small group with us 3, I guess.
Yeah.
And we had a few more people that would join our little group, as you would say.
Yeah.
But I had a lot more individual friendships and individual relationships, and I could never figure out why. Like, it wasn't like a big group of friends, and it's to do with the quality of the friendships I had.
Yeah.
Because when you have those really good quality friendships, being in a group really just takes away from that, because you can't spend time in a group with your friends having those meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
So I would really, really say to myself, it's okay. People can do what they want, and you do what works for you in terms of friendship.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, actually. I can relate with it a lot. I did not think about it at all. I just beat myself up that I didn't have a huge group of friends or anything. Whenever I would have during this whole time, like whatever years or the time frame where I had a group of friends, I was not really a part of it anyway, but I would just like pretend, or I would make myself feel like I was part of it. But I've always liked and preferred friendships one-on-one. I don't know, I don't know, you guys, like, do you guys also think this way as well, where you can be friends with someone one-on-one much better than in a group of friends? So when I see the show Friends, I love it. It's one of my favorite shows, but I cannot understand how it works so smoothly. Right, like especially with the girls, like it just works so smoothly with them, and I have not seen that in real life so far, like among my friends or the groups that I used to hang out with and everything, right? Like I haven't really seen it, like individually nice people that you are hanging out with and everything, but someone like me who's looking for like a meaningful connection, that was always missing in group dynamics. So it's always been actually very difficult for me to be part of groups and everything, but I just forced myself to be part of groups just because I wanted to have a group of friends and I didn't want to miss out on things. I don't think it was worth anything. Like it would have been fine, I guess, in a way, if I did not have, like, as long as I had some meaningful connection with few people. But I did not know how to even behave in a group of friends. Like, I was always quiet and everything, and I don't know, I would just come across as someone who doesn't want to attend because I was quiet. That's a big one, just so.
Yeah, and I think what makes it hard for us in group setting is that we're not the extroverted type of people who really command everyone's attention in a group setting.
Right.
So it's harder for us in that way to really make connections in a big group like that. Because when someone else is talking, we'll let them talk instead of talking ourselves. One-on-one, you have time to speak and you have time to say your thoughts. I think that's what makes a huge difference for us.
No, I totally agree with that, because if you can talk, then that means you can communicate, and that's normally what happens. If someone else is talking, I'm not talking. Okay, moving on. I think something related to that I'd bring up is try to develop a personality or like sort of an opinion base, something like that for myself. I might have had a personality at that time. I'm not saying I didn't have one, but I don't think I built it.
You definitely had one. You definitely had a personality.
I don't, but I didn't build it. Like, I guess, I don't know if you actually build personality or you just are something, I don't know. But I never put effort into it. I didn't think about it. I didn't have opinions. I didn't have the courage to stand up for myself. So I remember this one time I was with a couple of my friends and they were talking about like doing something together in terms of work or something. And they both were like just talking with each other on and going through their schedules and going like, I can't do this day, and I have this going on, so I can't do this day. And they went on for like, in their schedule, they went on for like not just few weeks but like a few months and everything down the line. And I was just like, I was looking at them so surprised. I'm like, you could do that? Like, you can stand up for yourself, you can say things like, because that you really wanted to like work with this person, and together if you guys work, like you create like good work and good results and everything. So I'm like wouldn't just the idea of like if working together with this person be like enough for you to like give up everything else in your life and like prioritize this? this. And no, that wasn't the case. Like, they were like going through their schedules and like trying to come up with a day that would work for both of them. That was a new concept for me. I was living under a rock, honestly. Like, it was bad. Like, and this was probably like, I learned something like this probably around the age of 25-ish. So you can imagine that, most of my 20s, first of all, went into not knowing, and then the rest of 20s went into sort of just getting over the shock of it and then starting off. So I think that's what I'm basing this point on, is having a backbone, having something to rely on in my own head. Be like, okay, no, I should have opinions. I should have something that I can help myself stand up for myself based on.
And, you're not the only one who struggles with it. There's a lot of people who follow what everyone else is doing, follow the trends that are going on. When we're younger, we don't have these, like, leadership qualities of, I'm going to express my opinion and have people follow me and everything. Right. A lot of us are just following someone, and we're not putting our own opinions out there. It does take a lot to be assertive enough to realize, oh no, I have my own opinions and I'm going to put them out there, and I'm not going to be a follower in my own life. I'm going to be a leader in my own life.
And I'm sure like a lot would go into this, right? Like, if I think about this, would you be born with that type of mindset or mentality, or do you develop it over the years, right? And how early do you start developing a different mentality for yourself, or a true mentality for yourself, right? Like, I guess in a way this is not really a rushing thing. Like, maybe as life happens, as experiences happen, you do develop it eventually. But yeah, good point though. I like it.
Okay. One thing that I wish I knew in my 20s was finding an activity that I can do every day and stick to it. I did a lot of different activities when I was growing up, like from doing yoga, like hot yoga, to walking, to biking, to running, to weight training, and a lot of like HIIT training. There's a lot of things that I tried, but nothing really I settled on until I was in my late 20s. And I wished I realized that early on, because I do want to have an activity that I do every day that is a habit, because it's really hard to develop habits and really stick to them. But one thing that I realized in my mid to late 20s is that if I find one thing and I stick to it, I think that just helps me to build an activity in my schedule every day and make time for it.
Yeah.
And to enjoy it. And at that point, I took up running. And I would run every single day for about a period of 2 years, and it helped me lose weight and stay active and really feel good about myself. But once things got very hectic with the work, with my personal life, I just didn't have time for it anymore. And if it was something that I loved, like if it was an activity that I loved, that I would have made time for it regardless of the fact that I was really busy. Because I make time for reading, even though I'm really busy and I have so many things on the go, but I don't make time for a physical activity because I don't enjoy it. And I still haven't found something. So this is also things I wish I knew in my 30s now, I guess. I still haven't found an activity that I love, that I will make time for all the time. So this is an ongoing thing, and it would solve a lot of my problems of not feeling good in my own skin, because that's the biggest struggle that I have with myself, is regardless of what weight I am, I want to feel good in my own skin and in my own body, and being able to do any sort of activity that I wish I could do. To get that, because I have a desk job, I need an activity to do that every single day, because my work lifestyle is so sedentary,
right? And
being able to fit that in my calendar every day, that's really hard.
Yeah, if you think about it, we live here in Calgary. It's like it snows like most of the year in a way. So if you are talking about a physical activity, there would be finding something in the house, right? Like that you can keep up with.
Yeah, that's what makes it difficult, is that the weather. But you know, I could come up with all the excuses in the world for it. Like, yeah, the weather, I can't go outside or whatever. I have a treadmill in my basement. I have a huge space in my basement. I have weights in my basement. There's a ton of things that I do already have. But the biggest thing is that it's the fact that I have not found something that I love as an activity.
Right.
Because if I loved rock climbing, for example, and I could not get enough of it, I would make time to go do rock climbing every day. Even if it meant that I was getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning and doing that before work.
Yeah.
I would make time for it.
Yeah.
But hasn't been something that I love doing that I look forward to. Like my husband, he loves playing cricket, and that's a huge activity, physical activity that he does in the summertime. But in the wintertime, when it's cold outside and he can't do that, he goes with his friend to an indoor field, so then he can do that in the winter times as well. He doesn't go as much, but he still keeps that up.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I'm looking for.
Right.
That I haven't found.
Yeah. I relate with it actually, because like I do have similar thing in terms of like I wish I had one activity that it would be part of my life, but for me it's more like something creative. So I wish I had something creative that I had loved so much that I would just be like a part of my life, like that was part of my identity. But I do like writing, but I don't do it often enough. But writing is like one thing, right? Like it's something you do also when, like I do writing when I feel like it, just because it's not my method of making money or anything, so it's not an everyday thing for me. So I would do it when I feel like it, but I wish there was like something else that I did more often on the creative front. And that would be with me, even throughout my life, right? When, before work, after, like while I'm working all my, years, and then after I retire in my life, I'd still have that thing going on, so I wouldn't be as bored in my life.
And I know you used to do a lot of writing back in university, and I got to luckily read some of them, and I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, thank you.
So I would say that was a part of your identity, but I haven't heard from you on that aspect in a long time.
Yeah, that's a whole another topic. Yeah, it's important to move forward, because then I just get lost in my thoughts and, just, okay. All right. I guess another thing I want to mention, I know this might be common for both of us, is living on my own. I wish I have regrets of that I wish I had lived on my own for, I don't know, whatever period of time in my life when I was in my 20s, just because it would have actually helped me resolve a lot of things that I'm listing right now. If I had lived alone, I also have, one thing that is also one of my things is I didn't really learn to build a routine for myself. It's also because I always just went by everyone. Like I just went by, okay, yeah, like, after school, we're going here, okay, I'll come. Or on a weekend, we're doing this, okay, I'll come, right? Like I didn't really have a routine of my own to fall back on. And what I've noticed is my brother, he has lived alone because of work and everything for a few years now. My husband has before marriage lived by himself and everything as well for a few years. And anyone else that I've seen who are actually living by themselves despite having parents in the city or somewhere close to city and things like that, or somewhere else in Canada, they all have sort of like a solid routine / personality that they always fall back on. So if I had lived alone, I would have built more confidence. I would have faced a lot of things on my own. I would have built a routine, like learned to build a routine. That was a huge thing for me. I would have really learned to judge people and learned to like deal with people, developed a bit more street smartness is what my thing is. That so I think it's important. Basically what I'm trying to say is, those of you who are in your 20s right now, and if you haven't done this yet, I think it's a stellar idea to live on your own, even if it's for just a few months. Go somewhere and like live by yourself, just trying to manage your day to day by yourself, man, if you can like do that, and if you can learn to do that at such an early age, I think it's a game changer. It really
Yeah.
helps you in your 30s afterwards. So yeah, that's one of my things.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And I don't have this as a regret anymore. And the reason is because before I got married, I did a secondment in Australia for about 3 months. And I actually got to live just on my own
Right. Yeah.
for those 3 months. And I value that experience so much. Because it taught me so much about myself.
Yeah.
If I didn't do that, I would have regrets to this day of not doing that.
Yeah.
Because the main thing I learned about myself during that time was that I do not like living by myself. It is not for me. I need someone around me because I become a very lazy version of myself if I'm left alone to my devices. I become a lot more reclusive and I become very, very a homebody, and it doesn't force me out of the house. And I don't cook for myself, so I just live on toast, and I don't have motivation for anything. I don't know why that is, but I learned a lot about myself, and because of the fact that I learned that I don't like living by myself, I don't have that regret anymore that, oh, I'm now married, I have to live with someone, and what would have been like if I could just live on my own for a bit. That's a very, very key experience for me, and I would say that if you have a chance to do it, I'd say take it. As Roma said, even if it's for a couple of months, because it teaches you so much about yourself and what you need in life to function properly.
Yeah, important.
And how you can be the best version of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Moving on, another thing that I wish I knew was that losing weight isn't going to solve all my problems. Growing up, I've always struggled with weight. I've always been a little bit heavier, and I always thought, oh, if I could lose this weight, I'd be so much more confident. I would, maybe find a guy or something like that and develop a personal style. Because when you are not comfortable in your own skin, it's hard to do any of that and be confident.
Yeah.
But I did lose the weight for a little bit, and I was very proud of myself for losing all that weight. I came down to like almost a size 4 to a size 6, and I've never been that small ever, and I'm not at the moment either. But it didn't really solve a lot of my confidence problems. Like I was always been shy, and I continued to be shy, and I still had a lot of issues of like, I don't look good in this or whatever. So I still had all those issues even when I lost the weight. And now I'm on a journey to be okay with whatever weight I am, because honestly, like, my husband does not care at all what weight I am, and he loves me for who I am, just as I am. So I'm learning now to love myself at whatever weight I am, and being okay with that, and being happy with that, and really not worrying about what I look like. Obviously put together, but not weight-wise.
Yeah.
That's not a concern of mine anymore. Or my concern is finding an activity to do every day, to be active, because that's important for health reasons, but not necessarily trying to lose weight and any of that.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, like, I've seen this recently, is that people say that, yes, sure, work out and everything, but like that does not solve a lot of problems, like especially in terms of confidence, or even like people work out and they could still be a bit unhealthy just because of what they eat and everything, right? So just talking about health and weight and confidence in general, that's what I also try to follow now, is that, okay, sure, like, do some physical activity during the day, which you should. And normally, like, you have a child, so like, you would be behind him all the time, so that's work on its own as well. But like, have some physical work, and then be mindful of what you're eating, but don't like always just keep looking at the weight and everything to see if it's going down and stuff. As long as you're healthy, right? Like, your reports are showing healthy, you feel confident in your skin.
Yeah.
I think that's what really matters, honestly. But yeah, like when we are younger, that it's a big deal, right? Like having weight and being overweight and everything, that's a big deal at that time, because you already have like 50 other insecurities, and like the weight
Yeah.
and those other 50 insecurities are in your head, versus weight is something that's actually visible, right? So
Yeah.
you could even get comments from like people, right? Like it's a real
Yeah.
struggle.
Oh, yeah. I used to get comments from a lot of people in my family. Like, you know how Indian families
Oh
are?
yeah.
You could lose weight. You should lose weight all the time. This is coming from my mother. My mom would be like, you should lose weight. You should do this exercise. You shouldn't eat this. And then in the next breath, she'd be like, oh, I made all these paratha filled with a lot of butter. Eat this. I was like,
Typical.
what kind of message are you sending? Like, on one hand, you're telling me not to eat this, not to eat that, and then in the same breath, you're offering me something that's very unhealthy.
That's typical, man. That's typical Indian
Yeah.
household.
Confused me so much. Yeah, and then they say it's healthy. And I'm like, on what planet do you think that much butter is healthy?
Yeah, the whole calculation of Indians thinking that something, you know how they say khate pita ghar ki, right? Like
Yeah.
that's like, no, man, I don't agree with that at all. Like that basically means that if you are a bit overweight, that's a sign of health and prosperity in your household.
God.
That's what it basically means. That's the Hindi version of what I said, but this is what it means in English. But yeah, like that's what they believe, that if you're slightly overweight, then you are from a prosperous and healthy and wealthy household.
Yeah. And even like my in-laws, they would say, oh, you should go back to the way you were when you got married and everything. And then now they've been living with us for like a year now almost. They see I barely eat anything. And they're like, you barely eat anything and you're still not losing any weight. So then they realize, they're like, okay, this is not a concern where she's just overeating and eating all of this crap, and that's why she's gotten bigger. So they've then been realizing it. And also my husband has told them to not talk about my weight ever with me, because that will just set me right off. And they don't, and they respect that, which is great to see that they can see that and respect it.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you're right. Like this could be a big thing when we are in our 20s, and yeah, like working out may not be the only thing that would help. It's also the mindset later on. Okay, I have one thing that I want to say is, when we were in our 20s, I think things were just starting off, right? Like I remember, I think in 2000 and probably 10-ish, WhatsApp was getting big. I know Instagram was. I don't want to Google when these things started, honestly, but I think
Instagram came about when we were in university.
And things were just starting off, and obviously like not much involvement with social media that we had at that time. And I wish I had been more active or experimental with social media and sort of started building a personal brand. Okay, this is like, it's not like a huge thing, obviously. Like when we were in our 20s, like it was not a big deal. Like it did not even feel like we were missing out or anything like that, because these things were not huge at that time. So it didn't feel like it, but I wish that, because there were other people, right? Like remember, like I used to watch Lily sing a lot on YouTube. Like she was she was the main person. And then there were like a couple of other people, Just Rain, and like I think there was like someone else, and these all were like
AK Amazing, I think.
Yes, all these guys were from Ontario, right? So like we used to like watch them. I used to watch Lily Singh's videos all the time on YouTube, and they were so funny and relatable and all that. And like I think that was the time when people could have actually gotten more experimental with social media, because she really just started off from her bedroom and recording videos in her bedroom and like, look where she is right now. And not saying that everyone would have turned out that way or that's the right way or anything like that. Not commenting on that. It's great, but it would have been nice if I had, been more experimental. Like, post like video of like, if I don't want to post video of myself, then post video of an object or something, done something more with the accounts that we had, with the social media and everything. It also teaches you about personal branding, right? So personal branding is something I'm learning recently about. And just because my field of work has shifted now from accounting to getting more on the strategy and business development side. So like I'm learning about personal branding recently. So if we would have been more experimental and active with social media, then personal branding would have been something that would have gone with it naturally. I mean, it's a good to have. I'm not saying it's not a huge miss out, but like if you are in your 20s right now as listeners, then this is obviously a great time because age-wise you're younger, so it's okay for you to like experiment and fail and be okay with the failures and everything. I know I'm just making it sound easy. I know it may not be as easy to face failures and all, but like it's easier in 20s than later on in life.
Yeah.
Or like you learn to deal with them later on in your life, but whatever, like it's easier basically in your 20s to experiment more. So for me it was social media that I wish I had experimented more with.
That's a really, really good point, is building that personal brand.
So one more thing that I would mention is traveling more. So I worked as an intern for I think 2 out of 4 years, and so I did make some money and everything, so I could have put more money, energy, time into traveling, because at that time it most likely would have been a solo travel or with you or a couple of other people that I knew at that time. But like just traveling more on my own, that would have been nice, because I have been to India twice, back I think once while I was in university and once after, I think, and I went by myself. I loved the experience of traveling by myself, but I didn't really follow through with anything else afterwards, and I could have, and I didn't. But I mean, if I think about it, anyway, so that could have been something for me, but I don't know if you can relate with this one or not.
I can definitely relate, and I do want to travel more, and I think I should have put that in my list as well, because that's one thing that I didn't do a whole lot of, is traveling. And part of the reason was my parents, they just would not let me travel. But I could have done that after I got married, and we did do some of that after we got married. We did do some traveling, but not as much as I would like. I think that's a focus for me in the future, when we will have more time and money to do the traveling. But that's a goal of mine in the future, to do a lot more traveling, because I do enjoy that and I love exploring new places.
Right.
And that's just something that I haven't gotten to do a lot of.
Main reason why I'm saying in the 20s is because now when I am planning anything travel wise, I want to book hotels and Airbnbs and stuff, which are much more expensive than hostels. And so I feel like if we were in our 20s and traveled, we could have actually traveled at much cheaper price, because we would have been okay living in hostels, for example, or we would have been okay eating out, anything like health wise also, like you start having so many restrictions already. With like food and everything, or if you have a developed family with kids and everything, that also makes it a bit of a challenge and a hassle to like travel. So when you're in your 20s, you don't have any responsibility, very huge, like other people's responsibility, right? Like money wise as well, even though you have less of it, you still have enough for just yourself that you can travel and everything. So I think it's important to spend some time for traveling as well.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Okay, I guess that's all I have. Do you have any other things in mind?
No, that's all for me as well. We should wrap it up with what you're loving this week, Roma.
I will let you go first.
Okay. What I'm loving this week is tomato soup.
We talked about this.
I know I've talked about this, but when I talked about soups in the previous one,
Yeah.
I was really talking about the noodle soup that I made. And, I did mention tomato soup and grilled cheese, but I think I was more referring to making like that dumpling noodle soup, which was so good at that time. But this week, I made tomato soup from scratch. So usually I would just, buy like a package of tomato soup, add my own seasonings and everything, and that'll be that. But this time I actually made it with like vegetables and tomatoes and roasted them and blended them up, and it was so good. I will share a recipe that I followed in the episode details so you guys can see, but it turned out really, really good.
Wow, okay.
Even my mother-in-law and father-in-law, who don't really like Western food all that much, they both, like, even the next day told me that it was really, really good and they loved it.
And do you have it with the traditional
grilled cheese sandwiches?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a perfect pairing. Like, who can mess that up?
Wait, okay, so do you add cream in it as well to tame it down?
So instead of cream, I added coconut milk.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
You like coconut. You love coconut.
Yeah, but you don't really taste the coconut milk in it. So the recipe that I followed, it said that you could either use coconut milk or you could use heavy cream. And I was like, I'm going to use coconut milk. That's healthier. And I have coconut milk all the time in my pantry, so why not?
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, that sounds delicious.
It was so good, so good. But I'm gonna be making more soups in the future because I feel like that's just my calling now.
We should start posting soup recipes on our Instagram and everything.
Yeah.
Along with our cardamom chai, there's also soups, and I recently made banana bread. And you made banana bread coincidentally the same day. So.
Yeah, that was really funny. We were talking before we started recording that I made banana bread, and I saw Roma post about banana bread on our page as well. It's such a coincidence. Both of us had overripe bananas.
Yes. Okay. For me, I'm gonna talk about my tablet that I have from Samsung. I got it as it's sort of like a thank you / gift / present sort of thing, I don't know, from work.
Oh,
actually.
nice.
So it's Samsung. I have not had Samsung in a very long time. Actually, I've been an Apple person since a very long time now. So I've been using it for this week mainly, and it's very portable for me to just take it with me if I have to go to work and take notes and everything. I used to previously just take my whole laptop and take notes, and because mainly my work visits would be like client visits and stuff, so it would just involve me like talking to clients and taking notes about them and all of that. So this really helps. This is one thing I've heard which I think is beneficial having Samsung. I don't know how true this is, but have you heard that if you are on booking.com or some like travel websites on Samsung versus Apple, the websites show different prices?
Really?
For Apple.
I did not know that.
Okay. Yes, I did experiment with like one of the things I was looking up, and it was true.
Really?
It was.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But I think originally I heard about this, I think at another podcast or something like that. I should have really remembered the name now that I'm mentioning it. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think it was it came across on Instagram somewhere when someone mentioned that like if you were to look up especially travel prices on booking.com or any other websites like that on Samsung versus Apple, Samsung shows lower prices than Apple.
Oh my god. Well, I have a Google Pixel, so I'm gonna try to see if that works with my phone too.
Yeah, try and see if that works. But I mean this thing is very nice to have. It has that little like pen with it that you can like write with and everything. That's very handy, and also I'm really enjoying it this week, and I'm planning on keep using it for work purposes and some personal things as well. So it's very beneficial. So that's my thing for this week.
That's awesome. Oh my god.
A bit tech. tech stuff.
That's all we have for this week's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Cardamom Chai Podcast. And if you have any questions or if you are looking for any of our inputs on any situations that you're dealing with, you can let us know at cardamomchaipodcast@gmail.com, and we can answer your questions on the podcast or just reply directly as well.
So we release an episode every week on Thursdays on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. So find us on these 3 platforms and take a listen. And can someone please just tell me, email us, please tell me if you guys are also like that, where you have it easier talking with someone one-on-one versus in group dynamic. And if you have figured out how to behave in a group dynamic, then please let me know. If you are a one-on-one person, okay? If you are an extrovert, then please don't let me know. That will sound like a lecture to me. So as an extrovert, I get it, you're good at it, but like an introverted person who also has a hard time doing it, please let me know in email. Please send me an email at cardamomchaipodcast@gmail.com. I'd like to hear more about it from what you guys think. But other than that, thank you guys. We hope you guys had fun listening to this podcast. And if you have any feedback, suggestions, please reach out to us. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.